All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. In this one, I wanted to talk a little bit about Garrett Wilson and really his epic performance yesterday. I mean, I know on paper, he put up good numbers, right? Whether you're a Jet fan or not, you have to admit Garrett Wilson looked pretty good, but I think there's more that meets the eye here, and we're going to get into it, but let's just take a look at Wilson's base stats for a second. He had 8 catches for over 100 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns. All things considered, playing a pretty good defense in the Cleveland Browns, having a backup quarterback in Joe Flacco throwing it to him, playing away, right, not in MetLife Stadium, and of course, it only being his second game. I think these numbers really speak volumes about where Garrett Wilson is right now and what he could do moving forward for this Jets team, not only just this year, but for, years to come here. It was clear after the Ravens game last week that Garrett needed to play more. Everybody can attest to that, okay? Drafting a guy again in the top 10 and only putting him out there in the first game of the season for 6 plays in the first half, when at the same time you have guys dropping passes, there's absolutely no life offensively. He had to be out there more. It's the bottom line. And that's exactly what happened. And it was almost funny because it really seemed like Garrett was the focal point of the offense. I know he only had 8 catches here, but he was targeted a lot more. At one point, he almost snagged this like behind the back one-hander for a TD. I mean, the pass was, obviously behind Garrett in the end zone. But no, I mean, it was evident that the Jets, that Joe Flacco, they were really trying to force feed him the football, and it worked. So let's talk about the game. Obviously, in the first half, they were pushing the football towards him, really trying to get him involved, and he was getting open, right? And he was making plays, he was coming down with catches, but at one point, Flacco threw him a pretty high pass on the boundary, and surprisingly, he actually came down with the football, just couldn't get both feet in bounds, and the way he landed, it was almost directly on his tailbone. At least that's kind of what it looked like to me. He instantly rolled over, and like from my view, it looked like he was screaming. It looked like he was in agony. Like, it did not look good at all. Whenever you're dealing with a back injury, whether you're playing in the NFL or not, just in everyday life, back injuries are serious. And to see a guy who's having a pretty solid game go down, just land that hard, like almost again directly on his tailbone, and him screaming like that, like fiddling with his helmet trying to get it off, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, there's no way that this is happening. After Becton, after Zach Wilson, there's no way. And same kind of deal too with Sauce Gardner. He came out of the game. Quentin Williams came out of the game. But man, going back to Wilson here, he ends up coming back in and continues to make plays until a big third down arrived, right late in the game, and Flacco put the ball right on the money. It was a catchable football for Wilson, and he flat out dropped it. We have to call it like we see it. It should have been caught. And I think the announcer said it best when he said that it almost looked like Wilson's mind was elsewhere. He was almost trying to process what he was going to do next after he made the reception, and he flat out dropped it. It was a big drop on third down. Now it's fourth down, and if the Jets don't want to go for it, you're punting the ball late in the game back to Cleveland, and they already have the lead. So it's just not a good play. I actually had a lot of buddies hitting me up that were Dolphins fans, and they were texting me like, oh, Wilson had a really good game, but he just cost the Jets the day, right? He cost the Jets the victory with that drop. And to be honest with you, my initial mindset was it's tough, it's brutal, but you know what? We've seen what this guy can do. He's going to learn from it and grow. He never really had a drop problem ever. I think short term it obviously sucks, but long term it's going to be, I think that drop is going to linger in the back of his mind and make him a better football player moving forward. But then the unthinkable happens. The Jets get the ball back, the Corey Davis touchdown, the onside kick, and Wilson has a chance to bounce back to make up for the drop, and he actually does. He actually does. Joe Flacco hits him for the game-winning touchdown. Absolutely incredible. I mean, that's like storybook type of, it's like a storybook ending, especially because, he's a hometown kid, went to Ohio State. I mean, what a win. I'm still so pumped up about it. So credit Joe Flacco for not turning the football over, for making those throws in big moments without any timeouts, and putting it mostly, right, for the most part, in catchable spots for Garrett Wilson and frankly the rest of the offense. But here's where I think it really, the numbers mean more. Of course, again, the stat line looks good, but it's making the game-winning touchdown pass. He could have been in his head. He could have been psyched out from the drop. But he said, you know what? No, game's on the line. I'm running wide open. Throw me the football. I'm going to make a play. And that's exactly what he did. Okay, so I think it shows off mental fortitude, mental toughness. And really, I think that's what the Jets need, you know, from their roster. Guys that when the going gets tough, big games, critical moments, fourth downs, you got to make that throw, you got to make that catch, you got to make that stop. The players rise to the occasion. And that's why I think, you know, it was really important getting guys like Flacco in the building, Jordan Whitehead, a Super Bowl champion, Dwayne Brown. I know we haven't seen him yet, but guys that have had success in the playoffs, guys that have won big games before. And Garrett Wilson, you know, clearly hasn't done that at the NFL level, but he did it a ton back in college. Okay, so couldn't be happier. Garrett Wilson looks like an absolute beast, an absolute stud. Let's see what happens against Cincinnati. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.